Top of the morning to everybody. Today we are going to build a spot from scratch. This spot is going to consist mostly of still images that are going to move around. There will be a voiceover and I'll put some graphics on top of the still images. The request that I received looks like this. And what they want to do is they want to match the fonts and their background with their website. I'll do my best to match the fonts. I probably don't have the exact font. And then these graphics here will be on the bottom. It's actually the Ritz of Las Vegas.com, and then it'll say open house August 20th, so on and so forth. And this is what the announcer says. So there won't be a lot of graphics, just a few things. This will be the biggest graphic there, the open house of August 20th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then the rest of this will all be lower third. All right, so this is what their website looks like, the Ritz of Las Vegas.com. And if we go in here, it's got images and the fonts. It's mostly black, and then they have this orange stuff here. So what I think I will do is make this orange the lower third portion, like a kind of a bar along the bottom with the black. And then they have this kind of a darker orange, dark brown color here that looks kind of good. This R, I don't think I can pull it from anywhere. They didn't give me any logos. They gave me a bunch of photos, but I might be able to take this. Let's see if we can take this. What I have is a folder here for the Ritz of Las Vegas. And let's see if I can take this. Okay, so I was able to take this. Let's see what it looks like. It's not huge, but I think this might work on the bottom. I don't like the Facebook logo, but I'll probably keep it there. I think what I'll do is keep all of this just like this. I'm going to have a trouble with that orange then if I use this. So I might have to turn this black. I think it'll look better that way. And then just put the orange behind it. So we'll see. We'll mess with it and see what it does. All right, first things first. Let's get rid of this website. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to the other screen so you can see how I import the items into the library. Okay, so I've moved my window over here. Now I don't have a library open, so let's go ahead and create a new one. Now, as I've said before, I like to keep all my clients organized in their own libraries. And a lot of times I include the year as well because it helps me identify what needs to be archived and so on and so forth. So I'm not going to use this import media. Mostly what I like to do is just grab everything and throw it in there. For the most part, everything should go. For some reason it doesn't want to. Let's see if that works. All right, it didn't tell me there was anything wrong. So now what I have is I have a couple of these that are tall. And so I'm going to have to use like a Ken Burns effect on a lot of these photos here. Sometimes people don't understand that television is always widescreen. It's never tall screen. You can't turn it when you see one of these. So a lot of times I get tall photos. So we'll just use a Ken Burns to kind of go with it. Allow it to look good. I like this photo. This is what I'm going to end with. Actually, I might start with this and end with it. We'll see. This spot is only 15 seconds long. So if I run 3 seconds per shot, we only get 5 shots in there. And that's about average. I could do 2 seconds per shot. You'll get 7 shots. About 2.5 we can go with. All right. So let's go back to the other screen. And now over here, what I'm going to do is kind of run through these shots so you can see them big, because you can't really see them in that little bin. This one I might not even be able to use. All right, here's the opening and closing shot that I like. And there's the logo. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this voiceover. And Ruben always gives me 2 cuts. I almost always like the second cut, so by default I just kind of grab it now. First, I'm going to make a new project. I can't put it anywhere if I don't have a project to put it in. Open house, we'll call it 2014. I should have put that in there. All right. So I'm going to drop this into the new project. And here's what we have. Let's zoom in. I like to cut the front off. Now, I like to, personally, I like to edit my video to my audio. So I like to lay down the audio first. And the reason I do this is because I find it easier to make the cuts according to what the voice says. There are a lot of people that like to go the other direction. They like to make the voice according to what the cuts are. And I find that to be more difficult. Ruben was a little long, so we're going to shrink him down. 15. Let's take it right to the edge there. We'll just put it right there. All right. Now, how I did that was Command R gives you your retiming. It's trying to sneak out on me here. Gives you your retiming, and you just grab this little bit right here, and it'll pull it in and out. 104 is about as fast as I can go without sounding strange. It's still going to sound strange. This is what it'll sound like.
Solo the Ritz of Las Vegas hace de un evento un hermoso recuerdo. Bodas, eventos especiales, quinceañeras.
So it does sound a little strange, but not as bad as it would sound if I were to go any higher than that. All right. Now we are going to go ahead and put the rest of it in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my bin, and I'm going to grab a bunch of these photos. I'll grab 7 of them. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know what? Let me look at them real quick. This is, I like that. I like this. Kind of like that. I don't like that. That's okay. That's okay. That's cute. That's really nice. Some of these really showcase it. So I'm going to at least get these 3. Those 4. And then out of these, what should I pick? I think I like this one, 5. I like this one, 6. And I think I'll go with that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Q, and these will pop in on top of everything. Now, I did notice it made these things. So I don't know why. Whatever. So we'll just move these back a little bit so we can kind of arrange them in whatever way we want to. All right. I think I will close with this. I think this looks good for a closing. So we'll throw this at the end. Okay. 15 divided by 2 is 7. Or actually, 15 divided by 7 is 2. So I'm going to cut these at every 2 seconds. Now these are still images, so they can be moved around quite a bit. Oops. That's not what I wanted to do. You can also do Control D and change it to 2 seconds instead of cutting them. And if you want, what's cool is you can do it to all of them. Control D, 2 seconds, and boom. They're all 2 seconds long. Now, obviously, this last one is going to be longer, which is fine. That's what we want. We want people to end on this image. Okay. I'm going to do a Ken Burns effect on each of these. Let me see if this is the right order that I want. Actually, let me... what he's saying doesn't really go along with any of this. Let's start with this. And go to this one. All right, we'll start with this one. Come on. Go to this one. This one should be later on, so let's move to this one. And then I think this one. Yeah, let's do it just like that. I think that'll work. All right, so here's what he says.
Solo The Ritz of Las Vegas hace de un evento un hermoso recuerdo. Bodas, eventos especiales, quinceañeras. The Ritz es elegancia sofisticada, localizado al este de Flamingo y Pecos, 336-3626. Visítenos el 20 de agosto para nuestro evento abierto al público. Solo The...
Okay. Now we need to start doing a Ken Burns effect. Now the thing with this kind of effect is if I were to put a transition here, if I were to start with a keyframe here and end with another keyframe here and put a transition, what'll happen is when it gets to this point, the animation will stop. And during the transition, the animation will not move. I personally don't like that. So here's how we're going to fix it. First, I'm going to scale this up because I want it to start like this, and I'm going to have it zoom in slowly. Okay, so we'll start here. And I'll start with a scale here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it some more. And let's turn this clip off so that we can see what's going on here. And I'm going to make another keyframe here. Whoops, wrong clip. There we go. Now I can see there's a keyframe. I'm going to make another keyframe there. No. Right here. All right, so I'm going to make another keyframe here. I don't know why it's moving like that. Zoom it in. So it's just going to do the zoom in the whole time.
Solo The Ritz of Las Vegas hace de un evento.
That's cute. Now, if I take this and move it back until that falls, it doesn't move the keyframe. And when I go to this one and I have the transition, the keyframe will always be there. So let's move this one on top so that I can see the entire thing. Now this one needs to be zoomed in a lot. See, when you get a photo that's in, that's in portrait mode, people send this to me all the time. I don't know that they realize that I can't turn the TV sideways every single time. So they send me portrait photos all the time. Television is in landscape mode 24/7. So we have to have all our images that way. If we don't, we got to do something like this. It's a pretty drastic move, but this is what we got to do. So I'm going to start a keyframe here. And we'll go back one and add the keyframe and end it there. And I want it to go to there.
Hace de un evento un hermoso recuerdo.
Moves a little fast. So let's go to the beginning keyframe. Don't give it so much.
Hace de un evento un hermoso recuerdo.
Perfect. Still kind of does this kind of splining thing. I don't really like that, but that's what Final Cut Pro does.
Hace de un evento un hermoso recuerdo. Bodas, eventos.
All right. We are going to put this one on top. What kind of movement should we do with this? I say this one we do a little bit of a zoom out. So here's how we do a zoom out as opposed to a zoom in. Instead of starting my keyframe in the beginning, I'm going to put it here at the end. And then I'll go to the beginning and put my new keyframe and zoom in. And then when I cut it down to the time that I need,
bodas, eventos especiales, quinceañeras.
That's how it's done. All right. Let's do this one. We'll do opposite of this. Zoom it in a bit. Actually, we'll do two movements at the same time because that's part of the Ken Burns thing. We'll start here. So I've put keyframes on scale and position. We'll move it here. Another keyframe on scale and position. Bring the scale down and move the position down and over. That should be good. So the other ones don't have as much of a Ken Burns effect because I'm not panning them as well as zooming them. That one does. All right, let's do the pan and zoom on this as well. The other one was a zoom out. We'll do a zoom in. So therefore we start our zoom here. And let's do, not X. Let's do a bit of a pan as well. The chandelier. Okay, this one needs to be a zoom out so that I can do a zoom in on the final. I've always been taught that you want your movements to be opposites. This really isn't. They're both kind of zoom out. But I need to do that so I can finish up this way. But I've always been taught to try to oppose your moves. So if you're doing a pan to the left, follow it by a pan to the right. If you're doing a zoom in, follow it by a zoom out. Or follow it by something completely different. I've always been taught not to do 2 zoom ins in a row. Now, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's what I was taught. So we'll start here. I did this one kind of opposite because normally I do my zoom in by or my zoom out by starting with a keyframe elsewhere. This takes a little more care. All right. So there we go. And the final. Give it a little extra. Zoom it in a bit. And let's start down here. Still zoom in just a little bit more. All right, there we go. We'll start with the keyframes there. Now, this one is going to end here. I'm not going to extend the keyframe because I want it to finish its movement. Actually, I'll go back 20 frames. I want it to finish its movement there. So let's zoom in, bring it down some, because this is what I'm looking for.
6. Visítenos el 20 de agosto para nuestro evento abierto al público.
I think that works. It's kind of sudden, but I think it works. Transitions. Now, you all know I'm not a fan of like crazy movement transitions. Stuff like this doesn't settle with me very well. There's got to be a purpose for that. Same with this. There's really no purpose for these things for me, at least for this spot at all. Something like this, however, could work. This is my favorite. This could work as well. And this. I think what I'm going to try is this. Now, normally when you put a transition in a clip that's in the storyline, the transition will either go to the beginning or the end, depending on what you're closer to. When you put a transition into a clip that's not in the storyline, it creates a storyline of its own that's just on top or on bottom, wherever it is. But it will put the transition at the beginning and the end of the clip. So I'm going to use this same transition throughout. I tend to do that. I don't like mixing transitions all over the place unless there's a purpose. So we will use this transition throughout. And if you notice, I just put it on this clip. I don't put it here. Instead, I put it, go away. I put it right here, and it gives me a transition at the beginning and the end of the clip. And it makes all of them be included in that same storyline. This transition is far too long. If I look at the duration, it's 1 second. To me, that's way too long. There's got to be a reason for that in order to use it that long. For me, 10 frames is about right. Sometimes I go less, sometimes I go more. In this case,
Ritz of Las Vegas hace de un evento
10 frames
un
is
hermoso
perfect.
recuerdo. Bodas,
Beautiful.
eventos especiales, quinceañeras. The Ritz es elegancia sofisticada, localizado al este de Flamingo y Pecos, 336-3626. Visítenos el 20 de agosto.
now it says, the Ritz is sophisticated elegance. This works. This has that sophisticated elegance type of look to it. All right, so video's laid out, effects are done, animation is done. If you need to see the animation track, you can always right click here and do show video animation, and it'll show you what's animated, but unless you pull it out, it won't show you the keyframes. There's one keyframe here, but the other keyframe, remember, is probably about right here. So unless I expand this out, you're not going to see it. All right, so now let's create the title. I'm going to create a title from scratch in Motion. We'll use this one. Okay, in this particular case, we are going to do a Final Cut title. I'm not going to do a very long title. So let's just do 3 seconds. It doesn't have to be long. All I need is an intro and outro, and the title's going to stay the same. And it'll be fairly standard. There's certain movements that I use that tend to be kind of the same thing over and over and over. I do this because it's simple, easy, looks nice. All right, so what I need over here in the Finder, I opened up the Ritz Las Vegas folder, and we are going to use this Ritz title. Oh yeah, we need to change that to black. All right, I'll be right back. I'm going to open this up in Photoshop and change that to black. Okay, so now I've got a black version. I think it looks good. The reason I don't show you the Photoshop stuff is because this really isn't a Photoshop lesson, and also I'm not the best teacher in Photoshop. And there's also some other sensitive information on that computer that I don't want to share with the world. Okay. And what I mean by that is work stuff. All right, let's create a rectangle. Oh, before we do this, I need my we'll grab this. I like to follow the rules of center cut safe. I realize a lot of people don't. The reason I do this is because I recognize that there are people that still have not upgraded their televisions to HD yet. And there are some services even that do not carry us in high definition. So the reason I follow this rule is to make sure that 100% of the audience can read everything that I put on here. If I push out to the sides, I'm not guaranteed. Okay, so we're going to follow this. This is how this is going to work. I'm going to use this exact same color. Okay, so I'm going to leave this. Well, I've got to move it over to the side. And over here, I can grab the color, and that's the exact same color. Okay. Let's throw this back here. The Ritz Las Vegas. Let's make this bigger. Not with that. Let's make this bigger. It's all right. Okay, the other fonts that they use over here, this is the other font that I want to try. Let's find out what other font that is. I'm looking at the page source. I don't want everyone else to see it. Okay, it seems like the name of the font is called Playfair. I don't believe I have that font, so I might just have to match and see what I've got. I think that looks pretty similar. This is Verdana. If I spell it the same way, it might work. That's pretty close. We'll stick with that. Verdana. Arg. All right, let's put the phone number. And the phone number is located here. Las Vegas has gone into 10-digit dialing now. Nah, let's not do bold. Let's just do regular. All right. The color we're going for on this is black. It looks good. All right. And then we'll put the Ritz. It's the Ritz of Las Vegas.com. We'll do the www, so it takes a little more space. The Ritz of Las Vegas.com. Now, I know websites are not case sensitive, but this helps you read the entire thing a little bit better. Helps you, in your brain, separate the words so that it says to you, the Ritz of Las Vegas.com. And you don't end up with mistakes like this. I'm wondering if... Come here, give me that format. I'm wondering if it's small enough. Nah, I think that would make it too small. All right, so let's push this down a little bit more. Let's make it 52. And let's do the same with this. 52. Put it in the center. A good way to center it is just to come up here and go to the X, type 0. I think that looks pretty good. I think I want that black to be fully covered. The reason is because it's black, it's going to pop. If it pops out into the screen, a lot of the screen in some of the shots is black, and I don't want it to blend in too much. So I like this. This I think looks good. Okay, we're going to do a cool little trick with this background. This is going to be kind of fun. I'm going to make another rectangle, and I'm going to call it mask. And it's just a mask. I'm going to take this rectangle, and I'm going to make the fill opacity 90%. Now, by doing that, the background is, you can see that it's transparent through there. Okay? But I don't want it to be just transparent. I want to have some effect on this. So I'm going to make a clone layer. And I'm going to blur this clone layer like crazy. And what I mean by crazy is 50. Now let's go 100. Okay. So if I were to move this up and down, you can still see it there in the back, just very blurred, kind of like a Windows Aqua interface. The other thing I want to do, I think I'm going to do a glow on it. So filters, glow, Let's put a bloom on there. And actually, let's put the bloom before the blur. So that way it looks really crazy bright. So you can see it through there more. That's what I want. See how you can see it through there? All right. It's pushing it. That's what I want. I want it to really push it. Okay. Now we are going to add an image mask. And the image mask is going to be mask. Now, why did I not use this? Well, this is at 90%. And so if I put the image mask, it will have it at 90%. So it'll be transparent image mask, which will make this layer semi-transparent. And I don't really want that. It makes the effect not quite so good. So I'm using this one, which has 100% opacity, as my image mask in order to make sure that the mask is 100%. All right, now let's animate it. We'll do a 15 frame animation, and basically all I'm going to do is make everything just kind of slide up. It's not that big of a deal. It's a very simple, easy thing to do, but it looks good every time. Now the first thing I got to do is mark where it's going to end. And I'm going to use M for mark. I'm also going to do this back here so that I have an in and an out. And I'm going to edit these markers and turn them into build in optional and build out optional. And remember, these are titles that are going into Final Cut Pro. And I will be able to use them. If I make 10 commercials for these guys, I'll be able to just drop this title on every single time and it'll be fine. The reason I want the build in and build out is because from here to here it will be in real time 15 frames. From here to here it will be stretched to whatever I decided to make it. And then from here to here it will be real time 15 frames. Okay, now let's go ahead and animate these guys. I've got this, this, and this. Those are the 4 items that will be animated. I'm going to go to my properties and I'm only going to animate them on the Y plane. So I'm going to add a keyframe here and I'm going to do it here as well. And remember, I like to do my animations backwards. I like to find where everything is going to end up and then, or at least my entry animations, and then do my animations, you know, find where it's going to start later. So this is where it's going to end up. And all I have to do is move to the beginning, drag this bad boy down. Oh, you know what else? I need to animate the mask. I forgot about that. Let's animate this mask. It also animates along the Y plane. Okay, mask and rectangle can go down at the same time. Ritz in black goes down. I'm going until the bounding box is off the screen. And that's it. Each thing is in a different place, so therefore each bounding box or each title will come up at a different speed. See how it kind of stretches and develops at the same time? And that's what I'm going for. Same with this. I'm just going to pull it till the bounding box is off the screen. Now, I didn't add a keyframe here. Motion automatically does that. You can change that function, but Motion automatically does that from the beginning by default. Now remember, I made these built-in optional. Therefore, if I don't want this to fall out at the end, I can make it stay there. So we will save it as the Ritz Las Vegas lower third. I'm going to throw it in my local templates. I'm only going to be making 2 titles for these guys. All right, it's saved. Okay, now let's make another title real quick that says, where's my preview? open house August 20th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. What I'm going to do is duplicate this. No, that's animated. So let's get rid of these animations here. Remove, remove, remove. Now it always obeys the last keyframe. Okay, we'll put it up here. And it's going to say evento abierto al público 20 de agosto (6 p.m. to 9 p.m.). Let's make this larger. Not with the scale, with the typing size. And let's make the line spacing a little smaller. And let's turn this mask on just for a minute so I can get a color. I want this to be the same color as this. And I want it to be outlined in black. Let's throw this down here. Right there. I think that'll work right there. Let me see my last shot real quick. Just had a thought. This is probably going on the end. So I might have to throw this up in the sky. So let's throw it up in the sky. Where is my... Turn on the guide. Throw this up in the sky. You can kind of push the yellow a little bit. So not too much though. So we'll do that. And then what I'll do for an on and off or for an in and out on this, or build in and out on this one, we'll also animate the Y plane. But we will make it so that it comes down from the top rather than from the bottom. So we're going to take the bounding box up and take this bounding box up. Okay, everything else we're going to toss. And the clone layer, we don't need that either. Okay, so this will probably just come down on the last slide and that's it. Okay, we're going to save this as an upper third. Okay, so we've got our two titles. That's it. That's all we need. So I'm going to go into my titles browser. It's going to update it with the new titles, show the thumbnails. Takes a little while because I have so many titles now. Look at that, 643 titles. Now I recommend if you're going to do your own titles in motion and stuff, you have huge hard drives. These do take quite a bit of space. Especially if you have graphics or video in them and whatnot, they take up so much space. And we'll throw this here. Let's see if it's in the right spot. I think so. I think it works. That's a big title, but that's because of this big fat R. But I think it gets the point across. Two things I want to do. I like the entry. I don't like the exit. I don't think it needs it. So Let's go to title. Click on the title. Go to title. Turn the build out off. We'll do the same here. And let's render these things and see what they look like. You can already see the kind of Windows Aqua interface type stuff that I have here. You can see how you can see through it, and it's kind of blurry. I think that looks pretty cool. I've done this before, and I think it works because it makes it so that this bar isn't so big, or at least it doesn't seem so big or intrusive. All right, let's play it.
Solo The Ritz of Las Vegas hace de un evento un hermoso recuerdo. Bodas, eventos especiales, quinceañeras. The Ritz es elegancia sofisticada, localizado al este de Flamingo y Pecos, 336-3626. Visítenos el 20 de agosto para nuestro evento abierto al público.
All right, I think it works. Okay, now I'm just going to pick some music, and I'll export it after that, but I can't record picking the music. All right, so now I'm done choosing the music. Now, the reason I could not let you listen to the music is because I'm not licensed to post this music on the internet. Therefore, I can't even play the spot back now, which is fine. It's not necessary. So I'm going to go ahead and export this spot. Now, remember, I export using the XDCam HD settings for our Omnion Media Deck. But you can choose whatever settings you need, and you can also export using compressor. But here's the spot here, and you can see it. We'll go ahead and export this. And I throw it into my spot transfers folder. This is where I keep all the commercials until I place them onto Omnion. And it's exporting. So now what I'm going to do is open up compressor while it exports. And once it's done, I get the little message that says it's done. I open up spots transfers, go in here, drop it in here, and these are the settings that automatically come up. And if you look at the settings, don't know if it'll show you very well, but you should see a watermark on there. And we will start these and let it rip. Now there's a 15-second spot, so it shouldn't take too long. And then once I'm done with this, I will send it to myself using Hightail. And this little app right here lets me send a bunch of files, and that's it. So basically this gets sent to everybody in my office. They get to look at it. They can download it. And then they can forward it to the client, and the client can say yay or nay. And, you know, I like it or I don't like it. And that's all I have. All right, so you saw how to start with a library, how to import items, how to do a Ken Burns effect a little bit on some still graphics, how to throw in transitions, how to edit a little bit to the audio, although I didn't really do that this time, how to create a title, a lower third title, and then another title that I created on the top, how to do the build in and build out, and how to save them as titles into Final Cut Pro. All right, that was quite a bit today. All right, and I'd like to thank you very much for watching. Oh, and if you have any questions or something you would like me to go over, let me know, and I can do my best to go over it. If you like this video, leave a like and tell your friends about it. And that's it. All right. Thank you very much for watching.